No. Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. It is Valentine's Day, the world's greatest holiday ever in history. We'll unpack that a little later. Marco D'Angelo joining us. Michigan State at Penn State, Oregon State at Arizona State. A lot of states. Bryan Power up after him. He's going to look at the Seton Hall game and Bulls and Cavs. And we're going to end the show with the wonderful, incredibly sexy Carmine Bianco. He's going to take apart the Minnesota Wild, Arizona Coyotes, and a Europa League game. Teddy Covers is my co-host. Marco D'Angelo right off the bat. What up, my brother?
That you had me on Valentine's Day. I know you got a man crush on me.
Oh, Marco, man. My man crush on you is so hard. Get the pun? Get the pun? Yeah, bro. I mean, what is a Valentine's Day without Marco D'Angelo? That's, is there a stupider holiday on the planet?
I got to say this, Prez. That might have been your best intro ever. All right? Flat out. You actually gave out the games. You gave out the guests. I'm super impressed with how the show has started. That said, it's Valentine's Day. What are you going to do, dude? It comes once a year. You deal with it. I have my 10th anniversary. And so my whole concept was I'm going to blow off Valentine's Day. We'll get married the day after. Ends up being 2 holidays, dude. I get no break from Valentine's Day. Yeah.
So listen, we got to get
that wasn't the plus EV move.
We got to get into actionable info, and we will. But I mentioned this on Puck Time earlier today. Could you imagine like 10 guys sitting around an advertising agency working? Hallmark is their client, and they're like, "I got a great idea. Let's have a Valentine's Day." Yeah, I don't think any man on the planet would have invented this day. This is the day where men get in trouble. Almost nothing good comes out of Valentine's Day. You go to a restaurant, it's the wrong restaurant. You write a card, your sentiments weren't strong enough. It is a day created by estrogen for estrogen, and the testosterone just gets in shit all the time. Hate this holiday. Don't understand this holiday. Do you think 2 gay men celebrate Valentine's Day?
Sure.
Yeah, I know. It was a joke. Marco, what are you doing tonight?
Taking the missus to a movie. She gets to pick the movie, so yes, I'm sure it's a chick flick.
That is
and,
so
you
brilliant.
just gotta...
That is exactly what everyone should do on Valentine's Day. No talking required. Maybe a little hand holding, one of these moves, and that's it. No high expectations. Just go to a movie. Marco D'Angelo, the world leader on what to do on Valentine's Day. Nicely done. I'm going to a restaurant. Anyway, Michigan State at Penn State. You like Penn State plus 3.5. Tell us why.
Yeah, you've got Michigan State coming in here. They're 6-2 their last 8 games. Both of their 2 losses were on the road, and they are now 1-4 their last 5 on the road. Penn State plays with revenge. And guys, I know I always say it. Revenge is the most overused term in sports, but there are situations that I do like it, and here's one of them. They got absolutely embarrassed in the first meeting this season. They lost by 31 points, 92-61. So definitely they got this one circled on their calendar, playing at home. In that game, Michigan State shot 56% from the field and was 10 of 21 from three-point range. Penn State, a pathetic 3 of 29 from 3. Can't be that bad this time. Got a couple trends that support Penn State as well. They're 11-2, revenging a loss where the opponent scored 75 or more over the last 3 seasons. Well, I told you there was a 92-61 beatdown, so that angle applies. And Penn State at home, coming off a road loss against a conference rival, last 3 seasons, 10-2 against the spread. And to put a little icing on the cake, look at the sandwich spot. You know I always on Bet On It have that segment with a sandwich game. Well, this would be it. You've got Michigan State coming off beating Illinois in their last game, playing a team they already beat by 31. And who's on deck? Yeah, Michigan. I know they're having a down year, but whenever you're Michigan State and Michigan, that don't matter. That's always a rivalry game. I'll take Penn State as the live home dog.
So I guess my only follow-up here is, isn't Michigan State a lot better than Penn State? I've watched these two teams play a bunch, and I don't want Penn State plus 3.5 because my eyes tell me that Penn State's not as good as Michigan State. They're not close to being as good as Michigan State. And I know they're playing well in recent games, but they've also faced in recent games a whole bunch of opponents that don't play a lot of defense. Iowa last time out, for example. Sparty does. So I guess my basic question is, isn't Michigan State just a lot better than Penn State?
Yeah, if they play 10 times, Michigan State's going to win the majority of those. But, Teddy, as we argue every week, it's the spot. It is the spot that Michigan State is in. And, I just want to remember that last week when you grilled me, we did go 2-0 on the show. And sounds a lot like the Nebraska Northwestern game last week. So
right
I'm playing
winner.
The spot, buddy. It's the spot.
Yeah, Marco D'Angelo, everyone. John Finley with some really strong advice. Slip your wife a Mickey and enjoy the evening. It's hard to argue. It is really hard to argue. That is astute. Teddy?
I got to jump in. This whole slip somebody a Mickey thing. I never did that. Have you guys ever done that? What's a Mickey? What do you find?
I don't even know what a Mickey is, dude. Yeah. Is it a Mickey like a small drink?
It's like some kind of a drug that you put into a drink that'll make someone pass out, in theory.
Yeah. I would never want to deprive a woman of the greatest night of her life.
Take the under. Yeah.
Marco D'Angelo, you got a 4% best bet going tonight. A CBB underdog game of the week. Clearly, the wrong side is favored or favored too much. If you want to know what that play is, head over to WagerTalk and grab it. Marco is on a 16-5 run in his last 21 of these 4% best bets. Congratulations, brother. What movie you going to?
He doesn't know.
I think she's picking the Bob Marley movie tonight, so that's where we'll be at.
Okay. Well, at least you allowed her to pick the movie. Marco, Oregon State and Arizona State. You're on the favorite here. Let's go.
Yeah, you've got 2 struggling teams. You got Oregon State that's lost 4 in a row, and you've got Arizona State that is 1-5 over their last 6. So, yeah, you look at it, why do I want to get involved in this one? But when these 2 teams met back on the 27th in Oregon State, Arizona State was coming off just a horrendous schedule spot. They had played 3 straight games against UCLA, USC, and then Oregon. And I know that, a couple of those teams are having a little bit of a down year, but that's 3 of the blue bloods of the, top 4 in the Pac-12. So that was still a very big stretch for Arizona State. And obviously they lost some of those games, and then they were playing Oregon State. I just think it was a bad spot for Arizona State in that first meeting. It also must be noted that Oregon State was playing in that game with tournament revenge. You hear me say all the time that is one of the big revenge edges that I do look for, is when a team is coming off, a game that ends your season. That ended their Pac-12 tournament here in Las Vegas last year. So Oregon State definitely was up for that first meeting. Oregon State on the road this year, guys. How about 0-9 straight up and just 3-6 against the spread? Give you a couple trends that support Arizona State in this one. They're 14-2 against the spread at home after a game that they covered the spread. This is a team that seems to put things together in streaks, whether it be bad streaks or good streaks. So we're going to ride that angles over the last 3 seasons. And for Oregon State, they're just 3-14 on the road if they're coming off a loss by 10 points or more in their last game. Talking about doing things in streaks, I'll go ahead and take Arizona State in this one. You know, it's always dicey taking a bad team laying points, but I'm going to go ahead and do it with this one. I like the spot with them. Why? Well, let's look at the schedule again. The State has on deck, yeah, they got their arch rival Oregon. Let's go ahead and lay it with the Sun Devils tonight, Arizona State.
So when you talk about teams that haven't really been able to cover a whole lot of point spreads as a favorite this year, Arizona State certainly comes into into the mix in that regard. And at this time of the season, I start really paying attention to teams that just can't cover as chalk. And I believe they've covered one spread all year. No, they had one back in November against Sam Houston State. So one since November at -4 or higher. Does that worry you at all? This team repeatedly and consistently unable to win or win by margin against the teams they're supposed to beat?
Obviously, when you look at the season number, that's going to be alarming. But on the same token, Teddy, we can say Oregon State just as bad of a prospect on the road. They haven't won a single game on the road, all year, and 3-6 against the spread. So they've been hefty dogs in a lot of those, and they haven't been able to get the job done on a regular basis. This is just, again, one of those ones with the spot and the situation. Of the two, if you ask me, do I put a little credence on one more than the other? I like the first game we gave on the show, just a tad stronger than this one, but these were the 2 games that I do like for the show today.
There we go. Marco D'Angelo. Don't know what you said. Really just kind of tuned out while texting. Neil Young and Crazy Horse going on tour. Tickets came out today. That's where my head was at. I admit it. Marco, 4% best bet tonight. Tell us why this is a play everyone should buy.
Well, guys, I talked about situations where I referenced Bet On It show and sandwich games. I also have a segment on there, trap games. This one would fall into the trap game, and I think we've got a dog that's going to pull a major surprise tonight with this one. And when you read the analysis and why I have the play that I have, you'll understand, like I said, 16-5 in Prez. You can pick up that one game for $25 or great little Valentine's segue. For $14 more, you can pick up 3 days all access with our buy 1 day of all access, get 2 free.
There we go. And that promotion, everybody, is good for anybody on the website, and it expires tonight. It is our Valentine's Day promotion. You buy an all access pass to anybody's plays. You get the next 2 days all access free. It's been an incredibly successful promotion so far. So make sure to take advantage of that. Teddy, what are you doing tonight?
I don't know.
There we go. The crabby Teddy covers. How's Kara? How's your wife? She feeling better?
Yeah, she's still banged up pretty good from the car crash on Monday. But I'll tell you what, Lawrence, I'll tell you what I learned last night.
Please.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep waiting for the Heat Bucks to tip off before 5 p.m. on the West Coast, and I slept through the night. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I'm supposed to learn something new every night. For what bettors learn, I learned sometimes I need sleep. I'm not 20 years old anymore. I'm not 30. Super Bowl week is grueling. It really is. And especially when it's in Vegas. I was out almost every night last week. Listen to your body. My body told me I was gassed. 13 hours of sleep later, I feel like better. March Madness just around the corner, guys. Conference tourneys, then opening weekend. That's 2-3 more grueling weeks upcoming just around the corner. So, get yourself ready, body and mind. I hate falling asleep before final scores, let alone before tip-off. And then I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning, Lawrence, 2-0, both right side winners, outright underdogs that won straight up. So I'm like, all right, that was great. Now, I didn't do my normal prep work last night, so going to be slow releasing this morning. And it's a tricky day, too, with the NBA All-Star break last game before. I do have one play up in the association already, but we're going to take our time with the card today because we didn't do our normal prep work last night. All that being said, Prez, what I learned last night, I learned I needed some sleep, man. How about you?
Well, Teddy, well, firstly, way to go on the 2-0. I actually logged on to yesterday's plays and checked that out. So congrats and shout out to Steve Merrill. He came on the show yesterday giving out his first 5% play in 237 days. Providence -1, if memory serves. He cashed it. Way to go, Steve. What a freaking pro. Theodore, we're going to bring Bryan Power in, but before that, I want to tell everybody, and I mentioned this on Puck Time as well, but I finished a series on Netflix last night. It was only 6 episodes. It was called Alexander, the Making of a God. It's the story of Alexander the Great. Now, we've all heard of Alexander the Great, one of the most famous people in history of civilization. But most of us probably aren't aware of what he actually did to become Alexander the Great. This story takes that apart. It is an absolute 10 out of 10. I freaking loved every moment of it. Now, let's bring on Bryan, the Almost Great. How are you, Power?
Well, hopefully I can give you a 10 out of 10 segment here, Prez, and and hopefully by 3 months
on giving
you can
your
call me
wife a
Bryan
10
Power
out
the Great. Yes.
Focus on giving your wife a 10 out of 10 segment. It is Valentine's Day. What are you doing tonight?
Oh, I think we're getting some sushi, I believe, is what the plan of attack is, as long as my daughter might need to make a little trip to the doctor, pediatrician, but that's I don't think that's going to get in the way. So it should be a good night.
Sushi. So is that you having sushi or both of you having? Bada bing. Seton Hall -2.5 against Xavier. How are we betting this play?
All right. Well, in our last segment, Marco talked about revenge, right? This is a revenge spot for Seton Hall, who 2 days before Christmas, first meeting before Xavier, ice cold from 3 on the road. 2 for 15, 32% overall from the floor. Not going to win many games like that, and they lost by 20. So, but it was a tricky spot for Seton Hall. If you go back and look at it, they were coming off a huge win over UConn. Yes, they beat UConn, and it was 2 days before Christmas. You got to wonder if maybe the players were looking forward to the holiday after such a big win. And what did Seton Hall do after they lost by 20 to Xavier? Well, they went on a 5-game win streak. But then Kadary Richmond, their leading scorer, he gets hurt, and there's been a bit of a downturn. Richmond is back now, okay, after missing losses to Providence and Marquette. And before the team played its worst game of the season, Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday against Villanova, season low in points, season high in field goal percentage allowed, it had not lost in regulation with Richmond in the lineup since the new year. The only loss would have been in triple overtime to Creighton. So with Richmond back now, having lost 4 of 6, revenge, obviously a massive game for Seton Hall. Head coach Shaheen Holloway, he ripped his team after that Villanova loss. Teddy, I'm going to steal your gimmick here with a quote. This was an embarrassing performance by us. Give Villanova credit. They came out and punched us in the mouth, and we just took it and ran away. So I think Seton Hall at home comes out really motivated. Xavier does not shoot the ball well. 40% their last 5 games overall. Seton Hall defensively, they only allowed just 40% at home for the year. Xavier's just 2-5 straight up in true road games, 2-8 straight up as an underdog. This line looks short. I will play Seton Hall.
So I'll start with this. I don't think quotes are a gimmick. I think quotes are a legitimate way to figure out a team's mentality as they go into a game. And I want to ask, I mean, is that something you use as part of your handicap? Are you looking for something that tells you from a player or coach that this next game is more important, or maybe it's an exhale spot? Or quotes not normally a part of your capping process?
No, and I apologize. I didn't mean to, make that sound like it was a negative or whatever. It was just, you always throw the quotes out there in the various segments. I don't necessarily as much. It's not, obviously there's a lot of coach speak out there. It was just that this one in particular stuck out to me, and it was a horrific performance. I mean, Seton Hall, they were dead from the start. It was a noon Eastern start, I remember. I think it was, at least on Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know. Maybe the Pirates players were thinking about where they were going to watch the Super Bowl, and they just weren't that focused. I just think we get a very, very focused effort tonight against Xavier in a revenge spot.
Bryan Power joining us. And Bri, look, I don't know exactly your stats, but I do know that you have been on frickin' fire of late. Rolling in hoops, rolling in everything. Tell us what's going on in the world of the Power.
Yeah, so Super Bowl was great. We went 2-0. We had the Niners in the first half. The game actually went exactly like I thought. The Niners would have the halftime lead and then probably blow it, which they did. We also had Kyle Juszczyk to have one reception. So we were feeling really good at halftime. Yep, I was bragging to everybody at halftime. I said, I'm already 2-0. How about you? So that was good. We followed that up with a 2-0 sweep on Monday. We cashed Texas Tech, both first half and the full game. Doesn't get much easier than that. Unfortunately, we dropped one last night, a rare best bet loss with Cincinnati. The Bearcats just...
I was on them.
It's just a shambolic effort. They did not come ready to play. And there were some games I should have played that I left off the card. I gave out Pitt against Virginia on the college basketball show. They, of course, won outright. But we're back at it today. 4 basketball plays, Prez, I have released. You can get them all for just $29. Last Wednesday, I released 4 basketball plays, and guess what? They all won. So we're looking for history to repeat itself here tonight.
Bryan Power, I can get them all for free, just to let you know. I have the login codes. Okay, Bri. So yeah, I was on Cincinnati too on the money line. That did not go well. I ended up with a 2 and 3 day. Bulls versus Cavs. Plus 9.5 for Chicago. Where are we going here, Bri? There's no sound coming on the YouTube channel. Just letting you know, but keep going, Bri. Wait, give him a second. Working on the sound.
In the meantime,
working on the sound.
Testing.
Go, buddy.
Testing. All right.
Brian,
Awesome.
great lip syncing. I want you to do that again, Bri.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so
and Billy Vanilli.
Okay, so let's do it in lip sync form.
All right, Here we go. All right, do you want me to start from the top there?
Why the hell not?
Okay. All right, let's start from the top. The Cleveland Cavs have still won 17 of the last 19 games, but they did lose outright Monday at home as an 11.5-point favorite to Philadelphia. And I think this is a flat spot for them. Off the loss, Teddy, you mentioned how the All-Star break's upcoming. I assume the Cavs are still going to win, but you look at the number. I got the Bulls plus 9.5, okay? And when these teams met last month here in Cleveland, Cavs were at full strength. The line was only 4.5. I get that we have to upgrade Cleveland, but not this much, because Cleveland, you look at the full course of the year, there's only been a handful of times they've been asked to lay 9.5 or more. Those were against the real dregs of the league. San Antonio, Washington twice, Detroit twice, and Portland. Bulls are obviously better than all those teams. And in those previous 7 games, okay, where the Cavs were favored by 9.5 or more, 2-5 against the spread. The Bulls, they've won 3 of 4, had a nice offensive game against Atlanta. Yes, Cleveland is obviously worlds better defensively than Atlanta. Bulls had 4 starters with 20 or more points in that game, shot 55%. I just think this number's too big. It has come down, so it looks like I'm going to have a little CLV trophy here. I'd play it down to +8. Again, just a flat spot, Teddy, I think, for the Cavs. Off a rare loss with the All-Star break looming. They might be making golf plans or something, although I don't know. Given the weather, given that it's snowed overnight here, you may not be playing golf in Cleveland, but they may be thinking about something else.
So this has been a very one-sided series the last 2 seasons. The Cavs have won every game. They've covered every point spread with one push. Of the 6 meetings, Cleveland has won 4 of them by double-digit margins and another one by 8. We've seen the money come down to 8.5 right now with the Cavs over the Bulls. Do you worry at all that it's just a bad matchup for Chicago against a team with 2 7-footers who don't allow a lot of penetration into the paint?
Sure. Again, and that's why I think for me, it's so much about situation. Like I said, I think a lot of teams, people call it the swagger, anti-swagger spot when long streaks are broken next time out. I just think the Cavs, Teddy, honestly, are just going to come out a little flat here. Again, the All-Star break on deck after the loss. They'll win. At least I think they're going to win. But there's just such a range of outcomes here. 5, 6, 7, some of the most common, final margins of victory in this league. I think the Bulls can stay inside the number. This is a team, that'll be motivated by that series history, certainly. I mean, they're well aware of that, and they would love nothing more than to go into the All-Star break with a nice performance at Cleveland.
There we go. Brian's segment almost over. Have we promoted?
We
I
did.
think we promoted. We did.
We did.
Yeah,
Yes.
see, I'm so focused trying to get Neil Young tickets right now. But come on, man. Who can multitask better than the Prez? Teddy, it's time for your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown time on Valentine's Day. Before I get into it, I do want to talk about the sweetheart deal we have at WagerTalk or Sports Memo right now. Real simple. You buy a 1-day all-access package from your favorite handicapper, and you get 2 additional days absolutely free. So it's buy 1, get 2 free, $39 available right now at WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. That's a good deal. Let's talk about the Spurs and the Mavericks. Wednesday night in the association. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing mostly 11s out there for Dallas. There is an 11.5 out there, 242.5, the prevailing total. Spurs on the second of back-to-backs, the Mavs riding a 5-game winning streak. So in theory, you say advantage Dallas. But of course, the point spread is always the great equalizers. San Antonio, 3-2 start, 8-41 straight up since. They won last night, off a straight up win. Let's talk about what happened to the Spurs. They took Toronto to overtime. That was 1. They lost by 36 at home to New Orleans. That was bad. They lost by 6 at Portland. They won the first meeting 2 days earlier. Competitive defeat. They won by 36 at Charlotte. They lost by 6 covered against Chicago. They lost by 10 covered at Philly. And they beat Minnesota at +10. So we look at those. Again, there have been 7 since that 3-2 start. And exactly 1 of them has San Antonio not shown up. The other 6, they played well, hung around, and lost by single-digit margins or in overtime. So certainly they've been pretty good on the second of back-to-backs. Last 8 games for the Spurs. They played Orlando twice, Miami, Cleveland, New Orleans, all strong defensive teams. Dallas? Well, they're 20th in defensive efficiency right now. Not so much. So Mavs are coming off a win, no cover, double-digit chalk against Washington. They needed a fourth-quarter outburst to win the game at all. -4 or higher for Dallas. 1-4 ATS, their last 5 tries. Outright losses to New Orleans. Outright losses to Memphis as chalk. I don't trust Dallas to lay this margin before the break. They lost by double-digit before the break last year. I wouldn't be surprised if San Antonio gives them the real battle tonight. Give me the Spurs plus the points in Dallas. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. Carmine Bianco joining us. Carm, you just got back from Las Vegas. You went on a trip with Kelly and Ariel. What are you doing tonight with your beautiful, awesome wife on Valentine's Day?
I know it was a short trip. It was a fun trip, nonetheless, but not much planned, honestly, Lawrence, because I got back last night, a little tired. And we have
Wise
a
man.
vet appointment, which is an important vet appointment today at 6:30. And then come home. I'm just going to order some food and chill and watch something on TV. Who knows? Really good series, Lawrence, for you to watch on Apple TV. Slow Horses, if you haven't seen it.
I was
About the
looking at that last night, Carm.
yeah,
I was
very good
actually
series.
with
Very-
Gary Oldman. I definitely
Yeah.
have it on my list. I'm waiting right now because House of Ninja comes out tomorrow on Netflix. So I'm not starting anything tonight because I really want to watch
Stacey,
House of Ninja. But yeah, that's going
Stacey
to be right
absolutely
out.
loves Gary Oldman. Yeah,
Gold.
she loves
Guys.
him. His part is phenomenal.
Carm, you gotta watch Alexander. Like it's freaking spectacular. It's only 6 episodes. Each episode is like 40 minutes. It's super quick. Okay, bro. Minnesota Wild playing the Arizona Coyotes. We took this game apart on Puck Time. We'll do it again now. Who do you like?
Yeah, I want to take a different approach to what I talked about on Puck Time here, so I'm not sort of regurgitating the same info. And Minnesota opened at 120 last night, went to 125, settled back in at 120. I'm seeing some books like Circa now moving the price as well too in our live lines on Minnesota. And this is one of those ones where Minnesota's trying to drag themselves back into a playoff race. We saw something similar last year with Florida that started to play some defense, sort of overperformed sometimes with their XG numbers and got themselves into the playoffs. Minnesota needs to do that. You look at Mini, they've won 3 of the last 4, 6 of their last 8. They've got 8 games left in February. 4 of them are against teams that are in the top 8. 4 of them are against teams that are in the bottom 8. They need to survive this month, because next month is a favorable one for them as well too. 13 games, 11 of them against teams that are wild card or worse, and those are the ones they need to beat. Like Minnesota could literally drag themselves back into a playoff spot, and I think they're playing well. They've over the last 8 games, they've generated 24.5 xG goals while scoring 30. So they're overperforming the number. They're winning games. You look at the other side of that play, and you look at Arizona. Losers of 8 of their last 10, allowing 28 goals on this 6-game losing streak, and they've got good goaltending as well too. They're just not playing very well defensively, and this is just one of those ones where I think Minnesota's the right spot because they're not beating up on bad teams. They are beating up on some good teams. They beat Vegas, they beat Pittsburgh, they beat Carolina, they beat Florida, they beat the New York Islanders. So they're not feasting on teams that they're supposed to beat. They're feasting on some teams that you probably don't expect them to beat. I like them to win here and maybe exact a bit of a revenge. Arizona went to Minnesota a few weeks back and beat them 6-0 in Minnesota. So Minnesota won't be looking past them in this game. They know what Arizona can do. But the odd thing is, they lost that game 6-0 Minnesota, and they held the analytics battle of, I think it was 348 to 256. They literally won the AG battle or XG battle and lost the game 6-0. That tells you the goaltending was extremely bad. Minnesota minus 120 is the play here.
I take the Wild as short chalk against the Coyotes, says Carmine Bianco in NHL action on Thursday. Of course, if you want Lawrence's presidential address, what do we need? 18 more likes to get him on the board after Carm is done. So now's a great time to give us a like. Of course, if you haven't done so already, more than 143,000 of you now follow the WagerTalk YouTube channel. That's insane to me. And the numbers keep going up. So if you haven't done it, do it today. Please give us a like, give us a follow. We appreciate it very much. Carm, you talked about the Wild. Now we're going to talk about some Europa League. UFA, EUFA, knockout stage. And I can't believe there's a team called this, but apparently there is. Sporting Lisbon versus the Young Boys. Tell me about the Young Boys in UFA Europa League.
Owned by a group of pedophiles. Just wanted to throw that out
I get listen, I absolutely I chose this game, well, for a couple of reasons, but it was one of the funniest things. I think it was last year. We're talking about the Champions League, and Kevin Dolan. I picked this game, and Kevin Dolan breaks it down and goes, "I really like young boys today," and it was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. I think we had to clip that one. It would have been even funnier if we did. But you look at this, and I'm just going to explain real quickly the format here. We're into the knockout stages now of the three tournaments: Champions League, which is the premier one. Amongst all the top teams, then the Europa League, and then there's the Europa Conference League. Well, this one is on Thursday. This game, the Europa League. If you finish first in your group, you get a first round. You get a bye into the next round of the knockout stages. But the teams that finish second in the group will have to play an extra round, and they play. And here's the odd thing: they play against the team that finished third in the Champions League, who cross
The hot
over into the new
girls.
tournament. And they cross over into the new tournament. So young boys were in Champions League, finished third with only 4 points. They never really had a chance to win that group with Leipzig and Man City in that group. They cross over here. They didn't do well in that competition other than beating on the last place team. And this is a step up for them. This Portuguese team, Sporting Lisbon, Sporting as most call them, is one of the best, if not the best, team in Portugal. Benfica fans will probably say it's them, but they're tied for first. They have a game in hand, and they're having a fantastic season. 25 wins, 3 losses, or 3 draws, 4 losses, 10-3-3 on the road. This is a team, and we see some teams from Portugal. We see Benfica have done it, Porto have done it, and Sporting have done it, where they play well in Champions League, make it into the knockout stages. They make a deep run. This is one where I think Sporting can make a run in this competition, and there's a few very good teams in it, but this is one where I think they get the leg one victory. They'll play here, and then next week they'll play back in Portugal in leg 2 of that. This is a number that I originally had at 130, minus 130. It opened at plus 120, which I couldn't believe, and now it's the money on Sporting is coming because people don't like to bet them early, and now it's minus 107. And there's still value in this line. I think Sporting is the team to beat here. They're on an 11-1 run. Last 12 games, 11 wins, 1 loss. They should get another win on Thursday.
Carmine Bianco, everyone. Carm, what do you got to promote?
2 games in Champions League. We went 2-0 yesterday in Champions League and the knockout stages, the first round of the knockout stages, and 3 plays up for tonight, 2 plays and 1 prop bet. So take advantage of that $39 deal. You get all these plays, and then you get Thursday and Friday as well, too, as part of that $39 sweetheart deal.
There we go. Carmine Bianco, everyone. Have a wonderful night, my friend. Thanks for joining us. Teddy Covers, your plea for likes achieved its success. 103
Sweet.
likes so far. Thanks, everybody. Make sure to comment in the comment section after the video goes live. Let us know what you guys are doing tonight on Valentine's. Maybe somebody's got like a really good plan that you and I could, steal.
Nobody's got a plan.
No, but I know.
I'll take the under.
Yeah.
on things on ideas that we'll be able to use. Yeah, we'll definitely take the under. Nonetheless,
How much?
share your thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Share your thoughts, guys. Okay, let's get into the daily presidential address. Okay, guys, I got a couple of bets for you. I want to make mention, we have a free pick page over at WagerTalk where most handicappers put up, all handicappers put up free picks. We usually do around 3 a week each, give or take. I haven't lost a free pick in 5, and I got one up there tonight. It's UConn minus 24.5. Check it out. I explain why I am on that bet. I also have a couple of hockey bets for you guys. So before we get into that, promo code PREZ30, Prez 30. You get 30-day all access. 30 days of my plays, my 5%, my hockey, my college basketball, and my NBA for $229. Perfect time to buy those plays, and I'll buy my package, and I'll tell you why. I'm up money in all 3 of those sports. That's the most important thing. We all go through slumps and hot streaks, but at the end of the day, being profitable after a long period of time is what matters, and I am making big, big money in those 3 sports combined. Why is it a perfect time to grab me? Well, I lost last night and I lost on Monday night. Last time I had 2 losing days in a row. I went 2-9. I followed it up with like an 18-4 run. I feel really good about my card tonight. I got a 4% NBA play, 1 NHL and 2 college basketballs. Take advantage of that. Prez 30, longest promo ever. Okay, hockey. I really love Florida and Pittsburgh under the total tonight. This is an absolute no-brainer. Both of these teams are stone cold under teams. These are 2 of the top 5 under teams in all of hockey, and yet the number is a 6. It makes no sense. I'm personally betting 2% on my bankroll on that play. I like the under in that game. I also really like the Arizona Coyotes. Carm came on WagerTalk today, made an argument for the Minnesota Wild, and I get it. They've won 3 in a row. Arizona's lost 6 in a row. I just think Arizona bites back tonight and gets it done. It's plus 100. That's it for the show. I wish all of you guys a monster Valentine's Day. Your priority, and I mean this seriously, your priority today is just to make your loved one feel loved. If you accomplish that, you're probably going to stay out of the doghouse. Teddy, take us home.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the right way to put it. Make your loved one feel loved. Good luck with that. Enjoy the games. We'll be back again tomorrow on Thursday.